Hello, everybody, and welcome to Redeem Position. I am the host for this episode, Kyle, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Tyrus and Devin. Tyrus, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Well, it's been a bit of a long day, I suppose, but other than that, just taking one day at a time, fighting against that darned economy. Am I right?
I guess so. Devin, how are you doing?
Pretty much about the same. Working my life away, trying to make money to feed the economy. Thumbs up, happy face. I hate this economy.
Well, there we go. Okay.
$5 for a thing of milk.
Oh man, just slaving away all day. Just
I'm about to buy. I'm about to buy a fucking cow. Swear to God.
oh man.
Get that fresh milk.
Gonna get buffalo actually. Have some Farming Simulator 2025 going on.
Yeah. Playing the hardest life of all, which is real life. We're playing the
Thank
the
God we're
life.
not on age difficulty.
We're playing the life game. I would call it the game of life, but that name was already taken. So
Copyright,
right?
Oh,
they start you off on like the easiest difficulty. You're figuring stuff out. You kind of through the tutorial section and everything, and then
You're a little child.
they slowly crank that difficulty up, and now I'm just on expert mode.
Don't even lie to yourself. It's easy mode up until we graduate high school, and then it's like, okay, here's 5 bosses on expert difficulty. Good fucking luck.
Yeah, it's easy difficulty, and then they just throw you straight into the hardest difficulty. They skip all the other ones.
Well, that's like in fucking school when the day I graduated, they're like, so what are you gonna do after? Look out of the school and get shot. Game over.
Rich people get medium difficulty.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
and those who are born rich get easy difficulty the entire time.
Right. Yeah. All right.
Well,
so, Kyle, you got a topic for us?
I do have a topic. So, I want to hear about some of the most annoying and frustrating things that have ever happened to you guys.
Ooh.
Okay. I think I've got a few.
I've got more than a few.
I've got one if you guys need time to think.
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. You go ahead and we'll think about ours.
All right, so for those who don't know, me and Tyrus are currently in a band together, and we've been trying to get a drummer. So about a little over a year ago, last year October, I think.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, we had a guy message us saying that he was interested in being our drummer. We're like, great, cool. So we're talking to him for a little bit, and we set up a time that we were going to meet him, and decided that we were going to meet at Pizza King, get something to eat, talk to this guy, and then after that, take him to our studio and have him play for us. Well, we continue to talk to him for the few days leading up to this, and then the day that comes, Tyrus comes picks me up. We go over to our studio to get our studio set up beforehand. Then we go to Pizza King. We're sitting in there, message them saying that we're there. We get the food and stuff ordered, and we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're watching the door waiting for him to come. Our food comes, we eat, still waiting. About a half hour into this, we text him, we send him a message saying, what's going on, basically. See where he's at, see what's going on. Still haven't heard anything. Still waiting and waiting. We're waiting and eating. It was a little over an hour that we waited. And then he never showed up, never said anything to us. So we left. Went back to our studio. We did a little rehearsal. Never heard from him. I give it a few days. Message him again, saying, we haven't heard from you in a few days. Are you still interested in being a part of our band? And to this day, we never have heard back from him.
Oh. Is this someone we knew personally at all?
No.
For those who don't know, I was part of this band at one point in time, but due to moving situations, I did have to leave.
No, you were in a different band, actually.
It's true.
Okay, fair.
Same members, different name.
Same members, different band.
But yeah, no, it was just some random person that messaged us on our Instagram thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
And he just...
I didn't know if this was one of those, like, someone from school or something like that.
No, just some random person.
And it's like...
Crazy.
It was crazy because, like, he really did show a lot of promise. And it seemed like he was genuinely interested. Because he, like, even sent us, like, videos and stuff like that, like...
of what he has done and what he's capable of.
Because he had been in a band previously, I guess. And so he was showing us some stuff that he had done in the past and how he currently wasn't with anybody at that point in time. So he was interested. And so we set up a time to meet and everything. Because, I'm always kind of living on the side of caution. Like, I don't really want to just meet this person at the studio or something, and this person turn out to be a complete, lunatic or something. You never know, right? So we were like, let's meet him in person at a public place where we can ask him a few questions and everything, and then then we can take him to the studio and everything, and he can actually show us what he's got on the drums and everything. And that was the plan. And then, he just doesn't show up. And so we're just like, okay, so I guess he's not going to work, I guess.
Gotcha.
At that point, we were just like, you know what, screw it. We can just
2-man it.
Yeah, we just kind of, used like pre-recorded drum sounds and stuff. I don't like doing that, but it's like
what can you do at the time?
Yeah. And it's like I've touched the drum sets before and everything, but it's like I obviously don't play well enough to actually be doing official recordings on it. Like I want it to actually sound good, and I don't need to be a little bit off, because it's like I know previously, like I had done a few like drum recordings and stuff, and I listened back to those to this day, and I'm like, oof, I was way off on the timing there. Like I'm not that great when it comes to drumming. Like I can get my rhythm down pretty nicely when it comes to like guitar and stuff, but drumming is a completely different deal.
The issue with drumming, because like I said, I messed around with them a little bit. It's hard to come up with something when you don't have a guitar or at least lyrics or something right there for you. Yeah. And what the drum does is like after you get that and you start going, because you pretty much want a small sample to see what it's going to sound like, and then the drums make the rest of the beat. The drums make up the rest of your flow of the song.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like everything, like I always, what I do is like nowadays, so I make sure that I'm keeping up with the rhythm and everything, is I usually have like a metronome or just a drum machine playing, but not being recorded or anything. But I have it playing so I can make sure that I'm keeping up with the rhythm, because it is a lot easier to actually have that beat, that audible beat, so that you can play with the rhythm. Because the thing is, what I did in the past, and it was one of the things that it was another thing that I made a mistake on with older albums and stuff was I just kind of did it blindly, and while it wasn't terrible rhythm wise, it's like okay, again that was a little bit off. So it's like now I can actually keep up with the rhythm and stuff. And then afterwards, I'll put in like the actual drum sounds once everything else is recorded.
Okay.
Yep.
But at least you guys figured something out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. Well, what's your guys' stories?
Do you have one yet, Tyrus?
I think I do, but Devin, you want to take this one first?
I sure can, actually. So, mine is actually it's work related. Okay.
All right.
So, this was, I want to say, a solid week ago, last Thursday, that I worked. So, I run machines, okay? And with those machines, I pack pretzels, or cheese puffs in this case. So, I had 3 machines that were consistently going down, okay? Issues I didn't know how to fix. So, I called my, he's pretty much my boss. He is the machine specialist. And he comes in and fixes it and shows me how to fix it. Not an issue. That's cool. Happens again this time, the way he showed me how to fix it isn't working. So while I go to get him again, I call to have them stop sending product. And despite the fact that we had like over 3,000 pounds of room, which that'll go away in like 3 hours, okay? So like, there's plenty of time for this. The people that I called to stop sending product just said you're gonna have to deal with it. So I said, whatever. Walked away, went to go and get my specialist. When I come back, there is a solid 700 pounds of cheese puffs on the floor upstairs. Okay, and like
Oh
the
no.
thing is it's not one of those to where like I can just sling it over the edge of my mezzanine, which is essentially a balcony. And it's gone. I have to load it into this trash can that is maybe like I'd say a solid 3 foot high, maybe 2 foot diameter, and I have to load it into this and take it one by one to the other side of the room to dump it. Okay.
Okay.
So I asked for some help, and they tell me we don't have the people, despite the fact that I can visually see at least 12 people just walking around doing nothing. So when I tell them that I physically cannot get this done by the time my shift ends, either get me help or I'm going home, they hit me with, then you're just gonna have to go home because this is part of your job title. So then I asked for my job description afterwards, and nowhere in this does it state that I am responsible for cleaning up these messes. Now, given it is common sense, it's my mess, I should clean it up. But if I physically can't get it done in time and I need help, and there are ample people just walking around doing nothing that could at least come up and pick a shovel up and help me out, I don't see an issue. So it like for me it's infuriating when like yeah, I get I'm new to the job, but at the same time, uh I'm not stupid. I know how to do my job. When I say I need help, I need help. If I say I don't need help, I probably don't need help. It's just it's this is anywhere you go though is the issue is like the people who are your higher up management, they seem to know best, despite the fact that there are occasions where they actually don't. And it's just that it happens a lot there. That is my infuriating thing.
Jeez.
Oh, Jesus.
So I ended up going home at 5 o'clock that day. I get off at 7. In which I told the line partner, because I told him, I'll go and start working on it. You stay down here and make sure all of this runs well. And he was cool with that. And I was like, okay, listen, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to have a mental breakdown if this keeps going on. He's like, okay. I'm like, I'm going home at 5. He just kind of looked at me. And then when he came back earlier this week, I think it was yesterday he came back, we were talking, and I was like, you weren't like mad or anything about that. He's like, no, I was more concerned that I saw a hammer and we don't use hammers in there.
Hmm.
The
Never about
jaws
to
for
hurt
the
somebody.
dude, no, the jaws in there, which they're what make the individual bags. They cut them at their length that they're supposed to be and seal them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they locked up, so I was trying to use the hammer because I don't have a pry bar. I don't have access to a crowbar. So I was trying to use it to like kind of pry open or force the jaws to rotate again, and it wouldn't work. And then someone turned another machine off, didn't say anything, and I heard someone say that there was a mess upstairs. So I just turned and just yeeted my hammer at the wall.
Hmm.
He's like, yeah, that was more or less like, I saw your helmet on the ground, and because we have to wear bump caps because someone clocked themselves like 14 times in one day. Don't understand how that's possible.
Wow.
I'm tall and I miss most of the stuff in there, so I'm just kind of sitting here like I don't understand, but okay.
And the brain
Uh,
damage. And the
but
brain damage.
I threw my earmuffs on the ground. They shattered. I had to get new ones. And then I threw my helmet on the ground, in which it cracked, but it didn't crack all the way through. I guess like the top of it, the shell will split, but the actual helmet itself is just fully intact. And then there was a hammer on the ground, and he was just very concerned. He didn't ask questions at the time because I was pacing back and forth. I was huffing and puffing, and then I sat down.
Hmm.
But yeah, no. The thing, I keep my anger under control. That is the first time in a long time that I have just fucking lost it, dude.
Then we just sitting there smoking an entire pack of cigarettes trying to calm down.
I smoked 3. I smoked 3 when I went outside.
Good Lord.
I'm typically like a 3 in like maybe 4 to 5 hour time period.
God.
Oh man.
This is a 3 in 15 minutes, if not shorter. I felt pretty damn good afterwards. I ain't gonna lie. I was lightheaded and I couldn't breathe.
All right. Well, does that mean it's my turn?
It
Yes.
does.
All right. Well, let me think here. I've got. I'm gonna kind of go over this entire experience. All right. But I'm gonna mostly focus on some of the more annoying parts. And but this is the process of us getting our new house, or I guess I should say our current house right now.
Okay.
So we got it back in like April,
It was like the beginning.
maybe. It was like March or April, I think.
I thought it was like the beginning of the year, but
Yeah,
That still is kind of the beginning of the year. About
yeah,
3
yeah.
3 months in.
I would say like the process probably started beginning of the year, but I don't think we actually bought it until like March or April. Um, but anyways, there's a lot of things that went down in the process. So first of all, like I've got to mention that this house is fairly old. I can't remember the last time that it was updated before we moved in. I I can't remember honestly. But the thing is, the house is fairly old, so we had quite a few concerns when we were first looking at the place. We wanted somebody to come and inspect the place, so we did get an inspector, um, which costs a pretty penny also. So it was like a couple $1,000, I think, just to get the inspector. Um,
Jeez.
So there was that. We get the inspector. He checks the place out, and so lots of things start popping up. Some of them are a big deal, and some of them are minor things that can eventually be handled at a later time. Um, but we're really wanting to get this place. So and everything doesn't look like it's gonna be impossible. So we decide, like, okay, you know what, we can handle these problems. So some of the things that were a really big issue before we had officially moved in. Um, I think at this point, yeah, after the inspector does all that stuff, not too long after we officially buy the place. And then it's the process of working on the place. So um, we're kind of simultaneously getting things repaired and also doing some work on the house, because that was another thing too. There were certain things that we really didn't like about the house. But some of the really big deal stuff was radon. Uh, so they had to put a new kind of radon detector and like a little uh, exhaust, I guess. I don't know. A kind of chimney, I guess, is what it kind of is. But it runs underneath the house, and it gets the radiation underneath the house and somehow like filters it outside, I guess. Um, so there was that. I think that was probably another couple $100. No, it was more than that. I think maybe. I think it was a couple thousand again.
Oh my god.
Um, so yeah, like maybe $2,000 for the radon, and then there was a serious electrical issue. The entry point, uh, apparently needed work. And the way our electricity is set up in our house is really weird, first of all. Like, there's even some stuff that isn't like a big deal, but it's still weird. Um, so first of all, when it enters, it doesn't just enter straight into the house. It goes through the garage and then runs underneath to our house. Very weird. Never seen that before. But like, and another thing, the garage it's not like the garage is like actually attached to the house. The garage is outside, technically separated from the house. I mean, unless you want to count the porch that is connected outside, technically. But like, to me, that still doesn't necessarily mean connected. But so that's how it enters the house. And so they needed to work on the entry point. And it's crazy because it's like, I think that was like $5,000 for all of those repairs. But they do that, and there was they take the old entry point out, and I'm just looking at it, and it's like all these wires and stuff that run up from the telephone lines. They're all like melted together to this thing. Like, and he was saying like that he bets that if you would have looked at it when it was raining at night or something, you could have probably seen sparks flying off of it. And I was like, oh wow, okay. Yeah, and he even took the thing with him as like a souvenir. He was so like baffled by it that he took it as a souvenir with him. I'm like, yeah, sure, dude. Help yourself. I don't care. Yeah, take it with you. Just get it out of here. But anyway, they took that off. They put the new one on and everything. So that's handled. And then another thing is like the minor things. So like there's a lot of light switches in the house that don't seem to do anything. They do nothing. Um, there's light switches that you would assume are for the light in the living room. There is no light switch for the light in the living room. You just have to pull the cord on the ceiling fan to turn the light on in there. Despite the fact that there are several light switches that just do nothing.
Oh, that seems like an issue, honestly.
No, he checked everything. He said there shouldn't be any issues there. It's just, somebody. I guess it was something that it did something at one point, but whatever was there must have been disconnected at one point. He said a lot of the stuff had been turned off, and another thing is they had some wires that had been cut but hadn't been capped off or anything, so he needed to cap stuff off as well. But there was also the outlets are like really outdated outlets. They're not even 3-prong, so we had to get a lot of adapters for them because like a lot of stuff nowadays, a lot of appliances and other things like that kind of require 3 prongs. So we needed to get 3-prong adapters. He was also making it seem like getting adapters was like really dangerous and everything. But then we're like, okay, can we have some clarification on that? Because like we can't exactly afford to be working on outlets right now, but we also have appliances that are on the way and everything. And he's like, well, just look at just feel the cords every once in a while and make sure they're not getting hot or anything. It's like, okay, sure, I guess. That idea still makes me nervous now, but I'm like, whatever. I mean, we're not rich, so we can't handle everything. So we do have a lot of adapters in different places. I have not personally noticed any issues with that so far, but also there's certain things like okay, so I did mention like the light switches. Besides the ones that just don't seem to do anything, there's also light switches that seemed like at one point they were trying to make it like two-way light switches. So it's like you've got one light switch on one side of the room and you got another light switch on the other side of the room. They both power the same light, but it's like if you're entering from one entry point, you can turn it on from there, and you can the same goes for the other side of the room. Well, that's not exactly how it works, because it's almost like one light switch also powers like the other light switch. So it's like if you turn one of the light switches off, not only will the light turn off, but the other light switch will turn off. So if you're coming in from the other way, that light switch will no longer work when you want it to turn on the light. So you have to run over to the other side to turn the other light switch back on and then flip the light again. It's like that in both the kitchen and the little mud room that we have attached to that. I have no idea why it is like that, but that is how it is, and it's so bizarre. Also, the garage is weird too, because it's like some of it isn't even connected to like the actual like wiring in the building or anything. Some of it, like the lights and stuff, if you look real closely and like follow some of the cords, you can find the cord plugged into an outlet. So it's not even run into the building or anything. It's just plugged into a wall. You just got to follow that cord and you'll find it. It's so but anyways, like there's other things that needed to be done as well. Like we had a lot of things that were just really disgusting looking. There was carpet we wanted to get rid of. So that was something we had to tear up the carpet, Um, we had to there's like wallpaper trim and stuff. Man, that was probably the worst part of it, was taking the wallpaper trim off, because get you gotta like use a special type of spray to spray it with, or you can use a steamer. That was something else that we did, was use an electrical steamer and just hold it up there and then just scrape it off. And then even then, it was so difficult to get off for some reason. But so we're doing all that, and then we're painting as well. Um, well, that took forever. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous how long some of this stuff took. I think probably, man, how long did that take? Good Lord. I can't even remember. That probably took about a month to actually do all of that, maybe. But then on top of that, we've also got I mentioned earlier the appliances. So like we didn't want to just use some old appliances, because a lot of the times, I appreciate my family and like them wanting to help out and everything, but a lot of the times they'll be like, oh, we actually have an old refrigerator or a washer and dryer in storage somewhere that we're not using or anything, and you guys can have it. It's like, okay, we really do appreciate that, but also, for once, we would like to actually get something that's new. So we did have a little bit of money to be able to afford some appliances and stuff. We got a fridge, and that was delivered pretty easily, no issue there. Um, and then there was the stove, which was actually that one was actually gifted to us uh, by my grandparents, which was a huge help and everything. But the thing about the stove was, I don't know. So I don't know who they go through when it comes to delivering appliances and everything, or who they're hiring. But it's like, so I should also mention, like, um, our gas, we have gas in our house. It's not, there's no electrical hookups for appliances. And one of the things is like that would cost a lot more to be able to put in uh, a place for an electrical appliance to hook up and everything. That would cost a lot more because they have like special outlets for those appliances and everything. So, we get uh, gas, and the thing is, with that in mind, you would think they would hire people who would maybe know how to do their job. But these people bring the stove in, this gas powered stove, and they look at it, and they're like, "Oh, looks like this gas line is damaged." I'm like, "Oh, uh wow, okay." Uh so I'm like, "Whatever. I guess I've got to get that replaced then, or whatever." But I'm just like, "Okay, fine." So, they tell me that I can reschedule at any time, um, whenever it gets fixed. But also around the same time, uh, those guys leave, and then we find out that our toilet stops working all of a sudden. Um, and we're like, what in the world? Like, why are there so many problems suddenly arising? Like, this house we had an inspector here and everything. We paid good money, and it's like, why are all of these problems suddenly arising? These problems weren't listed before. What's the deal? So apparently, our toilet was never hooked up to the city. And that's a really big issue because, especially because we live, where we live, like, especially if it rains, like, really hard. And last year it was raining, or well, not actually last year, I guess. But back during that time, it was raining a lot. And so we had some areas that were just kind of flooded a little bit. Like, not necessarily to the point to where it's like, oh no, we can't leave the house or anything. It's that bad. It's flooded. But, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just like, our backyard and stuff, especially the neighbor's yard, was flooded. But anyways, like, even though we may not get it that bad, our house was the one that was suffering secretly because all that water was just running in underneath the house. And I guess ended up filling up I guess when that happens, a lot of people complain about their toilets no longer flushing. So we think that we thought that was like one of the issues. Well, the thing is, we wait a while. We get a lot of sunny days after the rain and everything, and the rain dries up. And so we think like, okay, so the problem is about to go away. That's what we thought. And the problem didn't go away. So we're sitting there trying to figure out what the problem is. Eventually we get a plumber to come by, and he's somebody who we also thought could like take a look at this gas line problem. So he comes over, and he for whatever reason has a kid with him. I'm not sure why he has a child with him. This kid's like maybe 10 or something. But he's there with him and everything. And, they're checking out the toilet. And he takes the toilet off and is like looking down. And he's like, that's weird. I think I need to go and rent an auger. But it's going to cost you a little extra. And I'm like, why don't you have this already? But I'm like, fine, whatever. We need to get this fixed. But before, so he goes and everything, and he goes and rents one, and brings it, and they run it through and everything, and they're like, oh yeah, there were like a few roots, but I don't think that's the real problem. I'm like, okay, what's the real problem? He's like, I don't really know. You might want to get somebody else's opinion. I'm like, So, so you don't know what the problem is? He's like, no, not really. Let me take a look at this gas line issue. And so I will give him credit here. He figured out the gas line thing. The gas line was actually fine. The people putting in the stove had no idea what they were doing. So he is able to hook up the stove perfectly. He actually, for whatever reason, I don't know why he did this, but the previous stove, because there was an older stove that was already in the house, but it was old. I'm pretty sure like only 2 of the burners worked, so it was like, yeah, we need a better stove. But I guess like one of the like pipes or something that was on the old stove, he took that off and just put it on the new one and attached it no problem. I'm like, okay, whatever works, I guess. But so he did all that, he leaves, and we're like, okay, well, now we gotta get like another plumber and everything. So we get one, and he takes a look and everything, and he realized like we may need to like dig up the backyard and everything. I'm like, okay, whatever. We need to get this thing figured out. Like we can't keep going without a toilet for this long because like our luckily like the funeral home is just like a few blocks away from where we live. So we drive down there, and that's where we just went to the bathroom. We would drive down there. Um, but he digs up the yard and everything, and they came to the conclusion that the toilet was not hooked up to the city and had two septic tanks, and but they were like blocked off, I guess. And so they were like, well, we could empty these, but that will probably cost a lot more, and it'll probably the problem will probably just arise again. And so I'm like, fine, this needs to be connected to the city then. Like that, I'm not dealing with this whole thing all over again, you know. So they do all that, and the problem disappears. I will say like the only issue is the fact that we now have this big old bump on the outside uh, that is kind of an eyesore, but they said that we need to wait a while and just let the ground settle on its own. It's been a little while. The ground still ain't settled, but I don't want to risk moving anything because they say if you move stuff, that the ground will then start to sink and instead just leave like a dip in the ground, and we don't want that either. So I'm just dealing with it at the moment. Um, so that happens, and so we get a we get one of our bills. We get our water bill and everything, and our water bill is like extremely high, and we're immediately like, okay, well that's probably because of all our toilet problems and the plumbing issues and everything. So it's like that's not really on us. So we like get it appealed with the city. We go to a little town hearing and everything, or a town meeting, I guess. Um, and they talk about it, and they're like, "Yeah, okay, we can excuse this bill, basically." So we're like, "Okay, this shouldn't be an issue. There should be no reason for them to deny us this. Like, it wasn't our fault that uh, the toilet stopped working and everything. That's not our fault." But man, I was like, I was wondering if I should save this for its own episode, but I kind of want to get it out there now. So this so we go to this meeting and everything, and it's bizarre, like really really strange. Um they there were a lot of things that went down at this town meeting. I didn't think there was going to be so much involved during this town meeting. But first of all, um, you've got one dude up there, like so you've got like the council of the town and everything. One of the dudes had like actual like photographs of something. I'm not really sure what. I can't remember, but he had photographs like stapled to his hat and his shirt, and I'm just like, what is happening? What's going on? Who is this guy, and why is he up on the council, and why does he have photographs stapled to his clothing? Like I cannot make this stuff up. This dude legitimately has photographs stapled to his clothing. But they also apparently there was one of the council members was like, I guess, on vacation or something. And so they, I guess, found real issue with this. And so one of the people there was like, okay, well, our president isn't here. What are we going to do about it? And the woman who seemed like she was kind of in charge at that time, well, she didn't like outright say it, I don't think, but she was kind of hinting that she was like, okay, well, we need a new president and everything. It's like, I don't know if you guys want to maybe if you guys maybe want to elect me as the new president, I wouldn't really mind it, but whatever. So it's like, oh my god, what is happening right now?
Self promotion.
Like legitimately, like she was like trying to say it without saying it, like, oh, wink wink, you don't have to elect me, it's just an idea. And then they all the council members were just like, whatever, because I guess they just didn't want to deal with the drama or something, so they all elected her. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on right now. But also, so they do a lot of different things that like everybody does a vote for and everything, like but one of the things was we have our police, I think, actually comes from like Muncie or something, but they're like designated to our town and everything.
I'd say probably Muncie or Albany.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Which is very interesting because I assumed it would be Portland, because that's still J County, and Red Key is J County.
Fair, yeah.
But it's very
True.
strange because I guess they come from Muncie. I guess I don't know. But either way, so they were talking about a police officer who I guess after like working shifts here in Red Key, I guess it's always kind of a long shift for him. So after his shift ends, he prefers to just take his cruiser back to his house because this guy lives in Muncie. So he is like, asking permission to still take his cruiser to his home in Muncie, or get like a raise or something. I think is what the deal was. They said no to both. And so another thing is like every time they have these town meetings, they've got like the chief of like the fire department, and they've got like the chief of the police department and whatever. They've got somebody. I don't know if it's necessarily the chief or necessarily, but it's somebody who is coming to speak on behalf of like the fire department or the police department. Well, so the guy who is there on behalf of the police department, I guess wasn't too happy about their decision. So he just storms out. And I'm like, okay, I guess he didn't like their answer. That's nice and everything. But the thing is, like, also the fact that he's there, not only on behalf of the police department, but I would assume also probably there to, keep order in case somebody maybe gets angry and possibly a little violent or something, because things like that happen. Well, basically immediately after this this police officer storms off, they move on to another topic. I can't exactly remember exactly what was going down. I want to say it was something about something about like construction and stuff, and they were talking about not being able to use like a certain amount of like gravel or something. Uh, I don't know if it's like to fill a hole or something like that. Whatever. But the point is, one guy, you know, he's I would assume probably talking on behalf of the construction guys. And then there's another guy who kind of argues with him a little bit. We actually know the guy who was kind of arguing with him is he. I'm not gonna mention his name because I don't, you know, confidentiality and stuff like that. Um, but the point is, this guy is known pretty well throughout town, and he does a lot of stuff voluntarily, like, because the thing is, I like Red Key and everything, but sometimes they're not always quick to act on certain things. So they don't want to fix everything right away when it comes to like stuff that's in the road and stuff like that. If there's like a pothole or something that's been bothering everybody, they're not very quick to jump to the problem. But this guy will just go and do it because it needs to be done, and he's willing to do it. There was actually a problem not too long ago. Well, we were actually still living in our other home that was still here in Red Key, um, but it was on a different street and everything. But we had noticed this. It was graffiti. I'm not going to say the actual word, but it was a very not nice word that obviously would particularly upset me and Manaya for very obvious reasons.
I see what it is now.
Yeah. Yeah. That
I
was
was like, what could it possibly be?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was graffitied on the road. And so we're like, okay, that's a very serious issue for multiple reasons. You know, but anyways, I'm not going to get too much into that. Well, I will say they did not take the problem that seriously. We kind of contacted the city about it, contacted the police about it, and they were just like, it is what it is. We'll get to it when we get to it. And it's like, okay, that's not promising at all. So my mom tells the guy that I was talking about she asks him if he can do anything about it. And yeah, he goes and he covers it up with, I don't know if it was just more paint or whatever the case may be, but he covered it up. Because he, you know, I guess he just likes to be of actual help around the city and everything. But anyways, back to this whole meeting thing. This guy is like arguing, like trying to reason with the other guy, like we can't move like X amount of gravel or whatever. And suddenly, like the other guy is getting all ticked off and like standing up and puffing up his chest and everything. I'm like, what is happening? Me and Manai are both sitting here witnessing this guy getting mad about nothing. Like, what in the world is going on? And so, you know, I'll call him, you know, I'm going to call him Ryan. Ryan gets up. He's not somebody who is very, it's very clear he's not a confrontational guy, but he's also a guy who is like, tell it like it is. He's very honest. And so he's being honest. But it's like he ended up, I guess, stirring some shit up on accident. And he didn't mean to. But he gets up from his chair and just walks out because he's like, if I stay here, it's gonna disrupt this whole meeting and everything. And we're just kind of just sitting there, just shocked, because it's like, what the hell? What just happened? Like, we're just stunned beyond belief. And then finally, so the council's about to stop. They're about to just be like, okay, this meeting is now over. And then somebody stops them like, there's one more thing. You forgot about you forgot about their payment adjustment and everything. I was like, oh yeah, everybody agree to that? Aye. Yep, they were just like, let's get out of here. Let's just agree and leave. So it's like we got that sorted out, but not in the way that I thought we would.
Jesus.
So there was that, and then after a while, I think there was also the washer and dryer. That was a whole thing. I'm gonna sum it up because this episode is about to run over a little bit. But the washer, I think, got damaged, and then they tried to deliver it again, and so they did that. And then I guess we figured out that we accidentally got an electric dryer, and so we had to cancel that and get a gas one. And so that one came later. And that one was the same sort of thing as the stove. The guys just didn't know what they were doing when it came to the gas line, thought it was damaged. We asked another guy to come down. He took a look at it and was like, no, this thing just needs tightened. And he left. He didn't even charge us or anything because he was like, yeah, no, this thing just needs tightened. That's it.
That's pretty chill, though.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that was pretty chill. Like, I'll give him praise for that. But yeah, that was the whole thing with our house so far. Hopefully, nothing else happens.
Hopefully.
And I'm sorry that ran on for so long.
Oh, that was like a 45-minute to an hour-long story. I'm like, 10 minutes, let's go. I looked down at the clock, I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, I think Devin, after you had finished your story, I think the recording time had been on like 20 minutes or something at that point. So yeah, Jesus. I was probably talking for about 40 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Right now, currently, the timer is at 58 minutes.
Oh my god, dude.
So we're almost at an hour now.
Oh shit.
Me and Devin just gave our little short stories, and Tyrus is over here giving us a novel.
Dude, he gave us his life story, everything that's ever happened. I was like, I can. No. It was a joke, please.
Yeah, that's my bad.
No, it's good. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, after about the first, 15 to 20 minutes, I was like, okay, tune in, tune out, tune back in, tune out, tune back in. Oh, shit, that's sick, tune out.
There were times where I paused, expecting somebody to laugh. I'm like, oh, did I lose them?
Yeah, no, my brain just shut the fuck off. I'm like,
Oh my god. Okay. Well, that's the end of my story. Kyle, you might want to end the episode.
Go ahead and wrap this one up.
All right. Well, I guess that does it for this episode. I guess if you guys liked it, like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you have any ideas for things you might want us to talk about, let us know. And Devin is our host for next week. So
Evan still needs a link to the fucking YouTube channel. I'm not
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
lie.
Yeah,
I
I'll
was
send
looking
it
it
to
up
you.
as we started this, and I was like, nope, still not here.
I'll send it to you. Don't worry.
I'm sitting here like, oh wow, Tyrus is making us do a podcast and not even posting it. What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I had already posted it. I forgot to tell you guys.
I found
I was
it.
like, I was sitting there like at work today. I'm like, man, you know, because like we game and shit on Fridays, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I really hope they're not planning on doing the podcast today. I get home, you know, I'm chilling in bed watching a movie with Autumn, finishing a TV series, and then Kyle messaged me, "We're getting on." I'm like, oh, to play games, and then I realized both of you hop in, you're just chilling here. I'm like, we're doing a podcast. Oh fuck. I do not have the brain power for this.
Oh my god. No, I will say though, like, so I'm already just kind of comparing this in my head and everything. This I would say this recording went a lot smoother than the last one, because
Oh, absolutely.
I rewatched that video and everything. I'm like, and I would say probably the biggest issue was probably the fact that Kyle had a lot of delay, and that was a little
Yeah.
difficult to like edit around and everything.
Yeah.
But also like now that we've actually got like an official image and everything up, and I would say the rehearsal probably definitely helped. It I would say it kind of helped boost the confidence a little bit and helped us kind of go back and forth very quickly with like our responses and everything. So this was
Oh yeah.
way smoother than the last one.
It allowed us to like actually warm up and get used to talking again, like to talking to people who aren't there.
Absolutely. Also, it definitely helps because I had also told Kyle beforehand to like go ahead and start like thinking of like a topic and like have some stuff like written down and everything, because that might actually go a lot smoother.
He's gone.
Uh-oh.
That abyss gone forever. Are you back, Cyrus?
I'm yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
You said that and then went into the abyss. You were gone.
I left.
No, you never left. It's like your mic peaked and then just cut you the fuck off. Your mic said, no, you're done talking. Like, we're done here.
You talked for an hour. That's long enough. You're done.
All right. I get the hint. All right, Kyle, end this.
Oh shit, we were still going.
Yeah, we're still going. Kyle didn't actually end it.
Shit.
I was trying to end it, and you going off another fucking tangent.
We love it.
That's a good podcast right there. That's how you know
We
it's
love
good. All right, Kyle, you go for it, man.
All right, for real this time. This is the end of the episode. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment. Tune in next week for the next episode. Goodbye.